regenerative medicine, what do you understand? And then we let Garrett explain that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hi guys, thank you for joining. This is Essence of Medicine. Today we're talking about regenerative medicine. I'm Amanda Armagast.
I'm Melissa Hopper.
Dominic Moore.
I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence, and we have a special guest today.
Hi, I'm Garrett Hill.
Okay. Well, first of all, Garrett, why don't you explain to us who you are, what you do? But then I want to ask my team a question. Please
Sure.
go ahead, introduce yourself a little more.
Sure. So my name is Garrett Hill. I work with a company called BioTissue, who is heavily involved in the regenerative medicine program. And over the last 11 years now, they've developed products that have helped healing, have helped recreate burns, to present everybody in the most, get them back to the normal range of motion. Because when we get older, everybody's looking for the fountain of youth. And there are things that we can do based off of what our company is providing to help in that versus doing other different things.
So why don't we go around? Amanda, you start. When you hear regenerative medicine, what do you imagine what that is?
So obviously mine is very non-medical definition. When I think of regenerative medicine, I think of the word youth does come to mind, and maybe I would say less invasive forms of medicine is just what comes to my mind.
I think of it as breaking it down as and generative, meaning you're generating something from something that you once had or from something else. Specifically, I think I'm an athlete. I think straight to knees, you break your cartilage up, they take it out, they regenerate it, and they can inject it back in. That's my first thought when I think of regeneration.
And Dominic?
I'm not shy. I'll definitely say I have very limited knowledge of regenerative medicine. In my experience, a lot of times it's simply something where you're, instead of doing sort of a transplant or a graft, it's like you're encouraging the body to generate its own compounds once again, sort of bringing it back to the state where it decided to first make that anyways.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
So, well, Garrett, why don't you explain to us, enlighten us, what regenerative medicine entails?
Sure.
What are the, maybe if you can, maybe a little history, a little about possibilities and so on. Why don't you enlighten us?
Sure. So one of the things at the turn of the century is that everybody has started focusing on health and wellness. And as the baby boomers from the mid 1900s or 1800s there, they're coming through and they're saying that, hey, I want to feel, I may be 50 years old, I may be 60 years old, but parts of my body just aren't working the same. And whether it's scar tissue, whether it's anything else like that, but they just want to get back to, they don't feel like they're that old. But how are there things that physicians can do or we can do as a whole to get back to the levels of 18 years old, 20 years old, mid 20s, being active? That's what they want to do. The sedentary life just isn't in our culture anymore. We're out doing things, like you said, you're in sports.
Oh yeah.
The body. So that's like, let's get back to that. What can we do to that? So what BioTissue did is there have been all kinds of different things that physicians like Dr. Abbasi have done over the course of the many, many years of doing PRP injection, corticosteroid injections to alleviate pain that people have become to getting used to because of repetitive motions. Doing the same thing over and over and not getting out of their comfort, and then they worn down cartilage and things like
Now,
that.
let's go down a little back.
Okay.
In nature, there is two-way overcoming an injury.
Hmm.
Did you know? I'm sure you know that some, some reptiles, if you cut their legs off, they grow a new leg.
Same with starfish.
And and some animals, you cut them in half, they become two individuals. Yeah. So, but that is not what most of mammals, they heal an injury. How do mammals heal injury?
White blood cells.
When you get a cut in your hand, how does it
Good
heal?
answer.
Well,
You have a scar.
Right.
yeah.
What is the difference between a scar and growing a new limb? Why don't you just, I don't like this.
Scar tissue is dead. It will not regenerate.
No, it is not really dead, but it is lots of collagen.
Right.
It's
It
alive.
has a lot of connective tissue and very little, say, compared to a regular tissue, it has like maybe 1/100 of life cells need. Most of that is a matrix of collagen. Like, what is a collagen? Let's talk about that. I think we have to go way more back. I see that, we have a lot to cover.
I know, I was just thinking collagen is something that a lot of people take to feel younger or look younger. You can drink a collagen smoothie, and I believe that the collagen.
My dermaplaning done tomorrow, which is all about collagen regeneration in the
Sometimes-
face.
Yeah, they can.
I
they
know
take
all
small
about
needles and
collagen.
collagen back into your skin. That's what they do. There's collagen masks. There's
Okay, we are going so far off, I don't even know where to start. Okay,
Don't dig deeper.
okay. Tell me an animal that grows a limb.
An animal that grows a limb,
If you
a
cut it off.
starfish. Yeah, a starfish.
Well, yeah, I mean, a vertebrate.
A lizard.
Lizard. Okay, some lizard. Not all.
Well, I know, yeah, okay.
So you cut it off, or you have a wound, say, "Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
You throw it off and grow another one. Now, but that is rare in vertebrate. Most of the vertebrate, they overcome an injury by, when there is a wound, cross that wound with lots of fibers, like strings of proteins. These strings of proteins are extremely tough. They bridge it and close it.
Mhm.
Collagen is leather, skin of a cow. We take it, we denaturate it, and that the leather, I'm hoping you understand, is one of the toughest things we have, right?
Mhm.
Because it is collagen, cross connection of collagen fibers of proteins that is extremely tough. So nature decided that's the fastest way to overcome an injury, because if you, every time you have something, you throw up your arm and wait until you grow one, you will be somebody else's lunch.
Mhm.
Okay, nature cannot afford for you to just spend all the time, all the energy growing a limb. It wants you to overcome the injury and keep moving, keep going. Okay, that is the most economical way to overcome an injury. And make no mistake, life equals injury.
Mhm.
There's, even if you think you are pampered and you're
Oh, we've got patients that think they're Superman and Superwoman out here.
after
living-
surgery,
yeah.
changing the tire on a semi.
70 years old and they're telling us that they're throwing things over and I'm like,
And guess what? You accumulate those little injuries. That's what aging is. Aging is the accumulation of those injuries that your body overcome with small scarring process. Many of those injuries are macroscopic. Many of those scarring processes are macroscopic. That is why your skin is not as good as when you're 70, when you're 18, when your joints are not as good as so now.
mhm.
But that possibility in nature exists for you to regenerate, not only just scar it, but regenerate that. And I'm going to give you an example that actually works. Garrett, what do you know about chemical peel? What do you know about?
I know a lot of.
This would probably be the two without the college.
First of all, my advice to you, if you are her age, never ever get a
Okay,
chemical
let's
peel.
put it out there. There's actually different levels. There's 3 levels of chemical.
There's a
peel.
lot
I
of,
know, but general, regularly, what it is over the years, you accumulate these small, literally scars and injuries, and in many of the layers, they accumulate this kind of collagen that are not usual. Now, in a chemical peel, tell me, what is that? What do you know about that?
So chemical peel, from what I know, is that when you do the peel, you're pulling off the little bit of scar tissues that build up on the layers of skin there to bring out the undergrowth of what's been scarring, what's been healing underneath.
On the lowest level of your skin, there is a certain number of cells that they are like a stem cell for the skin. They can grow a whole skin.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, you can harvest them, you can do it in the lab and so on. But again, life is very minimalistic, very lazy. It does the minimum it has to do. In the chemical peel, and there are some other options like laser and so on, you literally you kill all the layers above the skin, above that stem cells or those basal cells. And then your body says, wow, what happened? I have to regenerate, and then everything that comes is going to be new from that layer of cells. It works. It absolutely works. But imagine now, in that process, you have to kill lots of cells above it to make that layer start regenerating.
These
Now,
wrinkles.
for that reason, if you're their age,
Stress.
you put yourself at a huge danger, because if anything goes wrong in that process, like you get an infection and so on, you don't get a
Yeah, true.
peel. You get a scar face.
Well, what about like this, like there's
And then
At
get more.
like a wipe,
Becomes
you just
regular.
wipe it and it's supposed to take off, that's like the lightest version.
There are many different layers and so on, but there is a kind of thing that kind of deep chemical peel. that
Oh, yeah.
That one you
literally-
have to get done by a real professional.
I would
Okay,
never.
I
hope so.
No.
I got some bleach in my car.
You can buy it online and do it to
This
yourself.
doesn't do it.
You can do them at home, there's all different levels.
No,
Yeah, I would
okay.
never.
Okay, so now, wouldn't that be great if you could do that kind of thing, that take things down to the basic level and let those cells that practically build everything above it, wouldn't that be great if you could really master that make that one cell generate a whole amount of tissue? Now, is it possible that to do that? We come back to that, but long story short, there's 5 of us here. 5 cells, 5 single macroscopic cells made pulse 5. It wasn't any magic to that. It was one cell that made my entire body, all the 200 billion cell in my body is made of one cell. So if we could provoke or guide or do something about that one cell or few cells that generate a whole battery of tissue, so this can be within our reach to do that. Now, this is the theory and background of it. Okay, so instead of building scars, we want one cell to regenerate the whole palette of tissue. Now, there are certain category of the kind of regenerative medicine. Why don't you tell us about what those categories are?
The different categories is that we've started back in the day. We started with the stem cells. Everybody was doing the stem cells, and it was about how many millions of myocardial cells will be injected into you. Well, like you just alluded to, it takes one. It doesn't take millions.
In the right situation.
Right.
Takes one,
It
yeah.
just takes one. And so through that, but harvesting stem cells can be very painful. If you're doing an ABG, some people want to be able to pull it directly from there and then directly inject
What's
it. into-
ABG? No,
arterial blood gas, which is a very painful procedure for people because they're awake, they're not generally asleep, or it's easier to pull blood from an operating table, when they're asleep. But what we ran into, I did a study with a physician who did PRP injection on every.
we have to define all this.
Okay,
because many of the
okay,
people
sorry.
may not know what
Sorry,
it is.
sorry. A platelet-rich plasma, which was also a type of regenerative and pain cessation and things like that.
So we now have 2 categories: stem cells, PRP.
Mhm.
Okay, what else?
And then we also have now what we have which is umbilical cord membrane. Okay, which is a completely different set of parameters when it comes to regenerative medicine.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it all comes back to that those stem cells, and that is used broadly, they already exist in us. We either can take a cell that is already stem cell, put it in a place and hope it goes and builds things we want that, like it's a board construction guy. You put it in a place and start building, that's all he knows, okay? Or we can, those construction guys are all in our body already, You just have to give them a plan. You just have to give them, motivate them, you know, you give them a hamburger and they're not hungry anymore. You motivate them with external factors, with external.
I was thinking back to your TikTok. That's
What's
it.
TikTok?
The one you made today of you and your hamburger and you can't eat. You can't go to war because you can't eat it.
Oh, so
Meat,
true.
not hamburger.
Hamburgers, anyway.
Okay.
Even we're getting lost.
Yeah, we're okay now.
You can take those cells and put it in a place to build that whole palette of tissue, or you can motivate, stimulate your internal stem cells to grow a palette of tissue. Now, having said that, it was a huge problem with putting cells, because those cells, they come from someplace. Most of the time, they are not your cells.
Right.
But now if you have the possibility to take your cell, even your fibroblast, your skin cell, put factors on them to bring them back in their evolution, to make them stem cell and inject back. So these are all new things. We will come back to that, to efficacy, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
So we talked about two different methods, or three different ways of regenerative medicine. Number one, taking somebody else's stem cells, putting in the right place. Number two, taking your stem cells, stimulating, or your cells stimulating, making them stem cell, putting back and making them grow, or giving you factors in location that make your stem cell say, you gotta do something. There's a plan, there is a stimulation, we gotta do. These are the three categories. Those two. The third category, in my opinion, is picking up them.
Mhm,
And what are those? That's plasma-rich protein,
mhm.
or fibroblasts, your own fibroblasts, or other factors, but as well the idea that the amniotic kind of fluid, amniotic material, because that is the location where your cells are all stem cells, right?
Right.
You have to build all new things. It makes sense. They are in an environment that there are factors that literally tell the cells grow, they regenerate, not regenerate, but generate,
Mhm,
because that's the first time they're doing that. And as you know, our body works with those signals.
mhm.
Okay, so I know you just mentioned about that, amniotic cell and so on, but why don't you explore this a little more for us? Where does it come from? How do we obtain it? What are the papers or scientific
Sure.
results you are aware of that they help us in what we are trying to do?
Absolutely. So as you're saying, is that the amniotic tissue comes from ground up umbilical cord, which
So
has
no babies harmed. in
no
that.
babies, no fetuses, because that was one of the big things
Yeah.
several years ago, was that they were taking
So this
fetus
is
cells.
something that they would otherwise throw away,
1000%.
or some other places they
They
may
eat them.
smoothie cells.
Yeah, that's popular here.
Tell me the recipe later.
No,
The rest, yeah,
No, that I think.
I don't
Pretty
think
gross.
that's gross. If it's your
This
own.
is now that material that would be actually, trash.
Mhm.
The baby doesn't need that, mother doesn't need that, nobody needs that. So you take them and tell me, how do they prepare?
So first of all, we have to obviously run the mother through a battery of tests to facilitate filtering out any complications or anything that may be arising with it. So once she has passed that test, then she's given her consent to say, hey, yes, you can take this. I'm not putting it in a smoothie or anything like that. I don't want to.
By the way, as of now in the United States, you cannot get paid for what you donate.
Right.
Because we don't want to create the incentive that people donate part of their
Yes.
budget.
Even if you donate your eggs.
Well, I think they have made something about the eggs that's a little different.
Mhm. Yeah, fertility exceptions.
Fertility is
Okay,
Right.
that makes
exceptions
sense.
there.
Yeah.
But generally, they
Like
our
donating a
society-
kidney, you don't get
Yeah.
paid, yeah.
In
that
some
makes
countries
sense.
like India, Iran, you can literally go and sell your kidney. That is why in Iran, you don't have to die if you have kidney failure, because government pays somebody, you get it, somebody healthy person, you need only one kidney. Okay,
Mhm.
so it is is a double-edged sword, but no matter what, those people don't get paid.
Right, there's no
donate
payment
that-
to the mother, it's simply a donation. Which obviously they're looking to facilitate people down.
Yeah, they help
Downstream.
other people, yeah,
Absolutely, they want to help people.
altruistic, not a commercial.
Right. Which is very rare. You know, these are wonderful mothers who actually want to help people further on that may not otherwise have any option to do so.
Mhm.
So once we harvest it and we bring it to our facility, then it passes another multitude of battery of tests to ensure that, you know, we are putting out 100% umbilical cord. There's nothing added to it. There's nothing, you know, gained from, you know, chemicals or anything. This is what it is. And then it's processed down we make it into two different forms. We make it into a sheet form for wound care, and then we make it into a ground up particulate for injection and surgical purposes.
Mhm.
After that, now we can say with the wound care, which is fantastic, that it comes in a multitude of sheets, burn victims, because we're talking about regenerative medicine. We can actually grow pigment and hair follicles back on some burns that have otherwise just left scarring tissue, which we were talking about.
That's
That is
It
insane.
is
so special.
fantastic.
For me, it's the pigment side
Yeah.
of things that's, you
I-
know.
I have had the privilege to do a number of allografts on burn victims, and honestly, their biggest complaint afterwards is, yes, my life is saved, I have it, but
Right.
this doesn't feel like it's my leg
Right.
or whatnot. And
Right.
So that just
So
It is
that's, which is, and you may say it differently, but I believe that the umbilical cord is like the fountain of youth for life, because it is giving everything that I've
Yeah,
never seen
yeah.
before.
Now, we know from lots of history in medicine that many things works and we don't know why.
Mhm.
Now, we don't really understand at this point, at least, what factors they are that really makes it work. And if you take an umbilical cord, you have like 100,000s of compounds. There is not a pure one medication and so on. But did you know how we used to cure diabetes? We would grind the pancreas of sheep and pigs and inject it back to people.
Why the
Because
pancreas?
it has insulin, because that's where the insulin is produced. But we as well had hundreds of thousands of other things that was in that, but that part we knew it works, or we understood, you know, long time ago, before we knew anything about biology. If you eat testicles of bulls, that's a natural Viagra because it has testosterone. So you see, in medicine, we don't have to understand everything to have an effect of it. Okay, and I think with the umbilical cord and then many other factors is as well, you know, it seems that there is effect out there, even though we don't understand the actual, you know, mechanism of that action, but it all comes back to that umbilical cord exists in an environment that the tissue has to grow fast. So it is rich on those signals, the cell signals that tell to the other cells grow, become a good cell, divide, create tissue, and so on and so forth. So I'm not dismissing it at all. I'm just saying we don't know exact mechanism.
Right.
Because in many things, like with insulin, we found out that it is not the entire pancreas. If you just take those little cells between those that islet cells, that work. Then we found that it doesn't have to be an entire thing. You know, it is if you separate the molecules, some molecules that are 50 kilodalton, 55, 56, that are the molecules that really have the effect. And then we separate them and found out, no, this is actually a protein. And then we found out the sequence of that protein. And then we found out that one amino acid or two are different in pig and human. And then we made the bacteria produce that one. And now we
I
purely
love
inject
how
it.
excited he's getting over this.
I mean, this is pretty, yeah.
But we could benefit from that long time before we knew exactly the mechanism and so on. So, and that is, I think, where we are. We are at the very early stage of this regenerative medicine. In regard, we know a lot. We know what factor to put on fibroblasts to make them stem cell. We can clone you just from a piece of your skin.
I wish you would.
I wish you would clone Alyssa.
We don't have to.
Only one of you. But-
Maybe you should make a clone of me and
but-
Alyssa together.
But,
It's spooky season.
well, you know.
Is it like this every day? This is fantastic.
Take half of your chromosome.
And that's what I'm
chromosome
saying.
And have a baby that is
So
That would
grossed
be the
out.
smartest, most nonstop talking child.
so what I'm telling everybody is look forward. There are lots coming in regenerative medicine, like what you just described, that people can have the pigmentation of their skin back,
Yes.
and especially burn victim. Tell us about other use of it, please.
So that's obviously the wound sheets are for burns. And then the particulate, we can inject it into joint space, we can inject it into fascia. Anywhere that you have pain, it is recommended from top to bottom, from plantar fasciitis to cervical neck pain to radiculopathy, spinal stenosis, anything that causes you discomfort.
Tell us about your experience with patient who has received that. Tell us some actual stories.
Sure. So about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we did a spinal study at our office in Missouri. And we had a fellow trained surgeon that came in and through the guidance, we did, I think it was 140 patients, put them on and through our discussion and discovery, we were able to find out that 75–80% were pain-free within 12 to 14 days. Some people wanted to come back and have a secondary injection, and then since we've been following them since then, they've been pain-free since.
Mhm.
And what BioTissue and Tissue Tech and Amniox will show you that it has been proven up to 5 years of pain relief. So you may have patients who are, some of these patients were not true candidates for surgery, but were seeking some type of alternative medicine to provide them pain relief because they weren't quite there for surgery.
Now, just come to full disclosure, in medicine, everything is statistic.
Mhm.
When you say they're pain-free, you mean statistically
Statistically
they're
pain-free,
pain-free, because
yes.
not every person
No,
will be
right.
pain-free and so on. And so in medicine, there is no guarantee of any kind of things in any regard. But you're talking about that statistically, based on biostatistical method that we use,
Yes.
it seems that this is really working.
It's working very well. And over the course of these last, these patients who are coming in, they've done the corticosteroid injections. Obviously we know that gamut. It wears off very fast, and they can only have so many. And they've tried to do the stem cells, but getting to our product line, they've been, like you said, majority of them have been pain-free since we've injected them. Some have come back for a secondary one just because they actually had another place in their body that was, they had some discomfort. And the majority of our personnel that we deal with are military and retired military and dependents.
Now, how is the take of the insurance companies at this point regarding this?
So currently, right now, our product is only available for your veterans. Okay. Right now, ongoing as well.
It is available to everybody, but
It's available to
veteran
every,
is-
that the VA will pay for it. But for the commercial insurances, your PPOs and things like that, they've asked our company and asked actually every company out there several years ago to go out and obtain data to formalize a biologics licensure agreement. Now, we are in the process of doing that, and we're at the end game of that. So hopefully, in the next year or so, whenever it comes down, when the data has been processed, there'll be a couple companies that will actually receive a biologics licensure agreement.
How does an injection like that look like?
As far as,
How is it done? I mean, it's
Well-
do you obtain the material in a dry form and hydrate it, or does it come in a vial?
sure,
Run us through that.
sure. So when Dr. Abbasi finds a patient that is a candidate for our injection,
Let's say I've got shoulder pain. right?
sure. So we will order it and we will have it shipped directly here to the office. And then the clinic will schedule you for an appointment for a
In
visit.
what form is that?
And it comes in a ground up particulate in a little bitty vial.
Is it dry?
It's dry. There's no refrigeration required. It has a 2-year shelf life. So even if something comes up, like in Minnesota, you have a 19-inch snow one day and they can't come in that day, the product is not going to be null and void. So you still have time to come in and get your, and then we'll reconstitute it with normal saline. The different injections come in 25 milligrams, 50 and 100 milligrams. Based on the different body parts, obviously, your wrist will not need 100 milligrams of injecting much of anything. And the procedure is either ultrasound guided, it could be C-arm guided, or some people who are just good, they can freehand it like a plantar fasciitis or something like that. And then the whole thing takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes tops, and they will leave and come back for your follow-up, whatever the physician's discretion is, whether it's 7, 10 days, whatever your normal follow-up is. Now, the first 2 to 3 days, there's going to be a massive inflammatory response, knowing that it's going to cause them discomfort and letting them know that ahead of time.
Sometimes that means it's working.
It's working very well because they'll be in discomfort for the first 2 days, but we also do some other measures for monitoring that with heat and cool and things like that to make sure to mitigate any of that response. But after that, they come back to your office and there will be a mitigation of pain. Whatever that is obviously patient dependent. Some people may say that they're free, some people may say they're 75%. At that point, they can do an additional injection. The one thing you cannot do for this is if they come in for bilateral pain or anything like that, you can't do both in the same day. Outside of that, that's the protocol for receiving the injection. And then
What is the indication, typical indication? What's a contraindication for this kind of injection?
Contraindications, there's not very many. It's basically, the patient needs to make sure that obviously they don't have any comorbidities that are, we want to make sure that they're healthy first of all. And then once we find out all those aspects of it, there's pretty much nothing we can't do.
So, and it's mostly for pain in the musculoskeletal system. Is that what I understand? Is that
It's
correct?
for muscular, skeletal, and then your cartilage as well. So it has been shown in different studies that if there is minor cartilage tears, say in your labrum in your shoulder, meniscal, like we were talking about a little bit ago, it has been shown it has closed those. Now, obviously, if we're a 3, 4, 5, large tear, it's not going to do that. But it has been shown to help the healing process of that where they
Which
don't.
to me makes sense if you're able to put it on here and it can regenerate
Right.
as such, why would you not be able to do it as the
Absolutely.
same?
Absolutely.
I'm still stuck on the fact that you
The
could get your
pigment.
hair follicles back
Yeah.
too, like,
It has been shown to do hair follicles.
you
That's
know,
so-
even
yeah.
if it's just a little bit, that's one step closer than I would
Yeah.
have even
Yeah.
thought.
Just the little things.
Yeah.
Well, how long have you had experience with that product?
We've been marketing this product since 2013.
Okay, wow.
So it's
So
been-
this didn't just come back last year. So it
No,
hasn't
this
been
is-
for a while.
This has lots and lots of data behind it, the years of study,
Mhm.
and has run through the gamut of, having it being approved by the military, having it be approved by many different physicians across the country doing different studies.
Let's go over different kind of injection. Obviously, you mentioned intracapsular in the joint.
Mhm,
Then I think you mentioned intradiscal
correct?
inside of the disc.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm assuming since it's any joint, then facet injection could be an option.
absolutely.
And
We have
then-
many clinics that are doing multitude of facet injections.
Yeah, and the way I understood that as well, if there's a muscular pain,
Mhm.
is an intramuscular
Yeah, you
injection
can do
is an
it
option?
intermuscular as well. Absolutely.
When would you inject that in the muscle? What in the muscle? What kind of diagnosis or finding do you need to have to put it in the muscle?
It's the same with any other radiating pain. So it doesn't matter if it's, a small bicep tear, obviously not a complete rupture. That would be a great one for bodybuilders, pectoral muscles, always tearing minute fibers.
Tearing muscle tear.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, when you inject it for muscle tear, do you dilute it more and you go like mini pass, fan it out and
Mhm.
disperse it through the muscle, or you still put one Because in
It's
this kind of joint is easy.
sure,
You
right.
just-
Boom,
Yeah.
it is.
What about the? what about the-
It's a physician preference. You know, obviously, if they have multitude around, you can do the multitude of injection sites, or if it's just one area here,
I see.
you know, we leave that up to your discretion.
Any kind of other injection I missed?
We can do epidurals with it.
Like trigger points.
Trigger points are great.
Well, trigger point are more or less muscular injections.
Right.
Right. Neuromas we can do. Yeah, pretty much it's limitless for what we can do.
Okay. Well,
I'm all for trying to get
Yeah.
steroids on the lower end of use, you know, that's. You probably aren't gonna argue with me on that one,
So
so.
you don't
And
know.
you want to make sure that you do a trial like you normally do. You want to make sure that, okay, they've failed some procedures, they've failed corticosteroid or whatever.
Mhm.
Because you're going to the Cadillac, you know.
Now, do you guys remember we started the conversation with 2 ways biology heals injury? Scarring versus regenerative. What do we say about steroid? When we give people steroid, what is the side effect of steroid? That it impedes with the wound healing, right?
Mhm.
No.
Yes,
Well, you remember our biology is trying to scar over,
Mhm.
and steroid actually reduces the scar building, wound healing. As a matter of fact, if somebody have keloid, what's keloid?
It's a big keratinous, like spot it'll pick
When you
up.
have a,
Oh,
so
it's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
that's,
keloid. Oh, yeah, yeah.
that's a keloid, yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Do
yay.
you know what we do when somebody has keloid? We know they build keloid. We inject a little bit of a steroid in that location
Break
to
it up.
reduce scar building. So regeneration has higher hand than to scar building. 2 avenues
Collagen
of our
smoothie?
body biology to heal the injury: regeneration versus scar.
Mhm.
And that is what we use steroid. And so I see now that we can not only reduce the scar building process, but as well we can now promote the regeneration part. There's more to come. I mean, our understanding is not really complete here, but there is way more to come.
Yeah, 10 years, that is a long time in my life, but I understand in terms of like medicine, that's maybe still, you know?
Yeah.
Might do, yeah.
Guys,
Well-
any other question? No?
No.
Other than the fact of when can I get this keloid thing taken care of?
Unfortunately, we have to cut it out, sew it back, and then put maybe some injection there to next time, so it doesn't.
But listen,
So
if you
hard.
list and you just
All
go
right.
through the
And then
VA.
you just go to a chemical peel place. Don't even. Maybe, yeah, we were talking maybe a collagen smoothie.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I have some in my protein.
Yeah,
powder,
see, there you
have
go.
it.
Share with Melissa.
Okay, now, coming back to collagen. Collagen by nature is the worst protein you can eat. Because it makes the regular intervals and it missing a lots of amino acids that you need. If you want to eat it, that is a good thing in many locations, like scar building, like beefing up the appearance, like cheeks and so on and so forth. But eating it actually practically the least nutritious kind of protein mix, because your body tear it down to an individual amino acid. It's hard to tear it down, and once it tear it down to individual amino acid, the number of the amino acid in collagen is extremely limited.
Okay, so
That's why eating skin is not the most nutritious thing.
Well,
Okay.
it kind of brings the like a completely different tangential thing, but the whole idea of if you're on a diabetic diet and stuff, you want difficult things to break down. Is it in fact a better protein for people with that?
that's a
You
good
see,
question.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Who knows?
you said
Hey, hey.
right thing in the
Don't-
right place, wrong thing in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Same thing that-
Poison medicine, you know, dosage, there's a lot of
Yeah,
difference there.
so
but also the
true.
application.
Yeah.
But what about drinking a
Till you get
collagen
the
smoothie? Will you
fried
actually
chicken
get the
skin is
benefits of
better
it? Like,
for
will
you than-
drinking a
Hey,
collagen
listen,
smoothie make
That's
you
all I
look
need to hear,
younger?
just one
Mhm.
time. Just tell me if I
Okay.
chicken.
Amanda asked, and let's be that last question for this session.
Be honest with it.
Okay. Drinking collagen smoothie, does it make you feel younger?
No, does it make you look younger?
Doesn't it make you look younger eating collagen smoothie? Now, first of all, that has to go through your GI tract. It gets broken down to individual amino acid. That's the only way your GI, at least the way we know, it can absorb it. Once it is in your guts and it's individual amino acid, it doesn't matter if you eat the Kobe beef or Wagyu beef or collagen. If you eat your shoe or $100 an ounce, thing, it breaks down to individual constitution of that material. So I don't know how it can make you feel younger if it's
Look,
Is drinking a collagen smoothie going to decrease wrinkles? Is
I
it?
don't believe so.
Okay, what about one last question? Applying topical collagen creams.
That is a different story. Is it possible that topically some of those material or things that are in that get absorbed in your skin, give your skin better tone and so on? That is a fantastic question for the dermatologist. But that is,
My dermatologist actually said no. I've asked.
you see that there?
but my dermatologist told me that chemical peels are safe.
Yeah, so did mine.
So-
so did mine.
Again.
Yeah, she said mine. It's safe as long as you're not getting your eyebrows done in the same week.
Oh, deal.
Dermatologist didn't happen to do the chemical peel too, right?
Yeah, she does.
Oh, well.
No,
Both
not
of
mine.
ours.
Oh,
Well, I didn't ask my derm to do it.
Okay, very important.
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for watching. This was Essence of Medicine. Today we talked about regenerative medicine. I'm Amanda Arngass.
My name is Alyssa Hopper.
Dominic Moore.
Dr. Abbasi Essence and our special guest.
Garrett Hill.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Be safe.